Hello there, everyone. Today, the DuelLogs, will be looking at Commander format cards from Magic the Gathering, which I've heard is a pretty casual format, and trying to see if they're good or not. Today we have PumkinSwift with me again. Go ahead and say
Hello.
hello, PumkinSwift.
Hi, everyone. I'm back.
Yeah, everybody's favorite MTG expert. So, Commander format, I just learned how to play it yesterday. Or I guess before I get in started, I should probably tell you guys I have a little bit, just a little bit of a cold. So just keep that in mind. It should be fine. I took a whole bunch of medicines. Also, I forgot to turn on the music. There we go. Okay, anyways, we should be good to go. Commander format, for those of you who don't know, is like a casual format. The difference is like you have like one card who's like your hero power, essentially. And you have a 100-card deck with only one copy of each card in it. And there's some other rules, but it seemed pretty fun, actually. Best format? Do you have any experience in Commander format, PumkinSwift?
Yeah, I end up playing Commander more than most other formats just because it's pretty easily the most popular Magic format because you can just build a deck for like anywhere between like $50 to $500. A lot of my decks are like $200 to $500, and it just stays good forever because it doesn't really rotate very much. It's a pretty stable format, and it being multiplayer and it being such a big card pool means that and it being so casual makes it so that you don't have to upgrade your decks very much. So for that reason, it stayed very popular because people will just build a commander deck once and be able to play it forever.
I know I bought a commander deck at Walmart, and it was like $50, and I was surprised because I don't think I've ever bought just like one deck before at Walmart. That was so expensive.
It is 100 cards, but
It
they
is
do
100 cards, but I was
do
surprised.
rake
Like
you
the
over the
deck box
coals a little.
was $50. It's like, whoa! I mean, I could afford it, no problem. And it was nice looking through the cards. Like, okay, I get how this works. So basically, everything just supports the deck master or the commander.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing. So like the commander can just be any legendary creature, except sometimes it's a planeswalker.
Anything that says it can be your commander can be your commander.
Yeah, I remember I saw a video that was explaining it, and they're like, there was a huge debate about not allowing planeswalkers to be commanders. And eventually, what Wizards decided to do was just print that some of the planeswalkers could be commanders anyway.
Yeah. Well, the planeswalkers are sort of like, even more so than the legendary creatures, are like the face characters, right? Like the Yugi Motos or Kaibas, right?
Yeah.
So people wanted to be able to play with them, but it's a different type of card. So it was like, it might change the gameplay in a bad way. So they decided to design their own ones for it.
So they're actually balanced around the commander format? Because it seemed like they weren't happy with the decision in the video.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people will still say they don't like the decision to make those because it leads to like grindier games that take even longer to play through and stuff.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
So how does it work with multiple players? I never really got that part.
Yeah, so basically you'll just like roll for first, and then you decide either like clockwise or counterclockwise, and then you start with that person going first, and then you just like take turns in turn order, basically. Like sort of like you would in Monopoly or something. And the rule system, like everything in Magic is written and like designed to be able to work in multiplayer.
Yeah. So I remember that from some of the other cards, like target player.
Like this, like what we have on screen right now, Altar of Dementia, it's target player. It doesn't say opponent, it says, or it would say target opponent if it could only hit opponents, but it's like target player, any player that you choose.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of confusing rulings in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because their mystical ref panel like redirects cards that target players, but cards that target players don't designate that they target a player.
Yeah. Like, That's weird. I always found that that especially feels like such a rulings nightmare because like things that
Oh, it
target
does.
not players say target in Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Like
Yeah. There's
so
like a
it's
whole
like
thing
why
about non-target and targeting.
yeah, so why don't they just like write things that like target player, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's because if they did that, it'd only be for that one card. But there's a precedent set in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where every time a monster can attack multiple times in the battle phase, it always designates the battle phase as like a multiples. Like this can attack 2 times in the battle phases. Because there's 2 cards in the game that give you 2 battle phases a turn.
Yeah.
And neither of them are good.
Magic actually has a lot of extra battle phase cards because we don't do multiple attacks. Like our battle system doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
we have a lot of like untap layer 2s go to combat again cards, and those are actually pretty okay. Depends on which one in specific, but
From what I remember, there is no battle phase. You just attack whenever, right?
no, that's not correct. There's a combat phase of the turn where you are allowed to attack.
Okay. So it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! I just assumed it was kind of like Magic where you just attack wherever, but it doesn't really matter because of the summoning sickness.
No. Doing things post or pre-combat and stuff is pretty important. Keeping track of where people are in the turn is pretty good.
Okay. So, I think I got that. So there's 4 people who play a game, right? Or is it 3?
It can be any number, but 4 is the average number. That's like what people aim for. 3 or 4 doesn't really matter. Once you get above 4 players, though, it becomes a mess. Like the table's just too big. Weird. You can't see everything. Like, yeah, it's kind of miserable to play with more than 4 people.
I saw like in the video, they're like, okay, one of the things you have to be worried about with when playing Commander is politics. Because you have to decide, are you going to gang up on someone? Are you going to make pacts with someone?
Oh, yeah, that the multiplayer dynamic changes the game a lot. And, I'll probably mention a lot, but like the Commander is a much more combo-oriented format because of the fact there are multiple players. Because you have to like win bigger in Commander.
Okay. Yeah, that's weird. If you have 8 players, makes 2 pods. We did an 8-player game once. We could only attack once to our left and block from our right. That sounds weird.
Yeah, people make up tons of like weird formats for Magic.
Yeah, this one seemed cool though. Like out of all the things I've seen so far with Magic, I kind of like Commander.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind trying this out. Do they have it on the official game?
There are 2 official games. So Magic the Gathering Online does have Commander. Magic the Gathering Arena, which is the newer one that looks a lot better, does not have Commander because it doesn't have all the cards yet.
Well, that's sad.
Yeah. But Magic Online, it just sort of looks like, if you looked at it, it looks about the same as like Dueling Book or something. It's kind of sad that it isn't visually better, but people do play on it. Like, Dueling Commander Clash is a pretty popular series that people watch, and they play on Moto.
Okay. So, let's, 1 second. I'm going to pop a cough drop, then we'll go into this.
Yeah.
Alright, let's get into this. So, first up, we have Altar of Dementia. It is an artifact creature which costs 2 of any mana. Artifacts, those are like continuous spells, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, sacrifice a creature. Target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of the library into the graveyard. Oh. So, you can just use this effect whenever?
Yes.
Like no cost to it.
The cost is sacrificing a creature. Anything before the colon is a cost. So sacrifice a creature is the cost for the effect of milling somebody.
So target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power from the top of the library into the graveyard. You can target yourself with this too, right?
Yes.
That seems really good. There's no cost to it. You just have to sacrifice your creatures. So if you just get like a whole bunch of tokens. Tokens probably don't cost a lot, do they?
They're statted about as much as other creatures, basically, with, the difference between being on multiple bodies versus on one body is like, it's hard to say which one is better. It depends on the situation. So.
And are they whatchamacallit? Is it spell speed 2 or like spell speed 1?
All activated abilities, which is anything with like a colon in it on a card, are spell speed 2 and not once per turn. Unless the effect text says otherwise. Some will say only activate as a sorcery, or this triggers only one each turn.
If your opponent tries to like destroy one of your cards, you can just sack it in order to mill some cards, correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I would say this is a good card then. This is excellent. Because you get to mill cards from your deck. Although, Commander, I don't know how well mill would probably work in a 1-card, 100-card deck. Maybe it's not that good. I'll change my mind. I'll probably say it's probably not very good in Commander. What's the consensus?
This card is extremely good. There are slightly better cards with a similar effect, ones that make mana instead of milling, and those are like a little bit better, but there's a joke in Magic that you can have a 0 mana artifact that allows you to sacrifice a creature for no effect, and it would be good just because the utility of being able to, because there are like, we have tons of things that not only have death triggers but also will trigger when other creatures die, right? And so the ability to choose to put a card from the field to the graveyard when you want to is extremely powerful. Not only that, but being able to mill yourself. There are tons of legendary creatures that care about the graveyard. There are tons of like graveyard shenanigans is like a common theme in Magic. So it's not like, sure, it's a singleton format, but if you just build your deck around wanting cards in the graveyard and have a bunch of different effects that care about that, the mill becomes powerful. And another side benefit of this is like, there are cards that can make it hard to attack, or like sometimes like trying to go to the battle phase is like, or going to combat to try and kill somebody with your creatures and all their power can like be bad and like not work out. Like, but like, let's say you have enough power to kill somebody and you go to attack them and they play like some sort of instant speed board wipe. You can just sacrifice a deuce to Altar of Dementia, and if you have enough power, you can just deck them, right? You have to have 100 power, but you can like, with some crazy combos, you can do that. I've seen that happen. So, there are tons of
power
benefits
is like their attack points, right?
Yes.
I just assumed it was their mana cost. Oh, wow, that changes things.
Power is what does damage. Power is the same thing as attack. Mana value is the cost. So if it milled equal in mana value, it would still be okay. But power is definitely better.
Also, it's colorless artifact, so it can go into any deck. Oh,
yeah, very easy to cast as well.
This
very
can go
low
into
cost.
any commander deck too, right? Because it says commanders, you can only have cards with a mana cost equal to whatever your commander casts.
Like within its restrictions. So if you have like a 3-color commander, you can play any, like, let's say you have a black, blue, and green. You can play black, blue, and green cards. Yeah. But since it's colorless, it goes into anything.
Okay, so I was off base on this one. I just assumed with 100 cards, and I didn't know there was that many cards which could benefit from this. I have better context now.
Yeah.
I shall use that. Next up, we have an enchantment. This one costs 5 mana to use. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 200 or more cards in your library, you win the game. How do you get more than 200 cards in your deck?
In Commander, you can't, but...
How do you... Oh, can you just start off with 200 cards in your deck?
In any other format but Commander, you can. So,
this card is basically for people who play like a 250 card deck? Yeah. Or 206 card deck, and they try to draw this card to win? Or 210? Because you need 5 mana to cast it.
Yeah.
But then 200 cards, like your consistency would be garbage. Well, I can say this is probably unplayable in Commander.
Oh yeah, no, it just doesn't work in Commander. People have asked them to remove, to change the rule so they could play it, but they just haven't done that yet.
Well, why would they? The whole point of the Commander is 100 card exactly. Oh, I didn't know they didn't have a maximum deck size limit. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's 60.
In Magic, the specific rule is, I know this as a judge, is you have to be able to shuffle your deck unassisted in what is considered a reasonable amount of time in order to be able to play a deck. So if you can, it doesn't matter how many cards you have, as long as you're able to shuffle it by yourself within like a couple minutes, it's legal.
Okay. Yeah, because a 100 card deck is pretty beefy. Okay, so this one is literally just unplayable. So I was correct in saying it was just unplayable.
Yeah.
How is this a normal Magic?
Awful. Terrible. It's never worth it. 200.
You don't want to have more than 200 cards in your deck?
I mean, it's not only that, it's also the fact that like a 5-mana enchantment that wins you during your next upkeep is like, if it didn't even have that restriction, it would only be okay. Like it'd be hard to, like, because it's so easy to remove, it's so easy to just kill somebody before turn 5. But like having the inconsistency of not being able to draw it when you need it makes it so much worse.
Yeah, it's a meme dream. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, next up we have Collector Ophi. 2 mana creature. What did you say?
It's pronounced oof, I think.
Oh, oof. Oh, right. I keep trying to pronounce them like Japanese names because like all the Yu-Gi-Oh cards are in Japanese.
Nah.
Oof.
America.
Okay, so activated abilities of artifacts can't be activated. So he's a floodgate on artifacts. He has 2/2. He looks like he's easy to bring out. This is probably a good creature, right?
Yeah, this card's really strong. One of the things about Commander is because people tend to need to go bigger to win games, mana costs are higher on average. Like people play more expensive things, and so in order to cast those more expensive spells, they play a lot of ramp. And artifacts that tap for mana are some of the easiest ways to ramp in any like non-green deck.
I did see a lot of those in the Commander deck that I bought. I was like, yeah, I didn't know there were so many cards that just give you mana every turn.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, tapping those to add mana is an activated ability of an artifact. So this stops all those mana rocks. And that's super strong. And there are tons of other, like, really useful activated abilities of artifacts that this turns off. So it's extremely versatile. It's a really powerful, like, stacks piece to stop people from going off. And, like, you're in green, so you have, like, not tap artifact ramp. So this turns off everyone else's ramp, but keeps yours around, which is just insane.
Yeah, someone's saying it's like a skill drain in Commander. Can you only have 1 land card in your deck?
1 land?
Yeah, because like the Commander deck I have only has 1 land in it.
You can play any number of basic lands, but non-basic lands are under the same 1 per deck restriction as all other cards. And in normal Magic,
you can have more, but like the Commander deck I bought only has 1 land in it.
All non-basic land cards, including like non-basic land and spells, have the exact same 1 per deck size restriction. Like you can only play 4 copies of a non-basic land in your deck.
Yeah, I found
in
they're
normal
all at the
Magic.
bottom of the deck. I just missed it. There's like a whole bunch of like islands and plains in here. Never mind.
Yeah, but if you look for any of the non-basic ones that aren't like the normal tappy lands, there'll only be 1 of those in those.
Yeah.
Because they're still privy to the same restrictions.
Like a random land like out of place, and I thought, why is there only 1 land in here?
Yeah, it was probably like a new land or like a special one or something. Like it was like a more powerful one for that deck.
It's just a normal land.
Yeah, that's
here,
weird.
I'll find it and I'll tell you. Oh, there's a bunch of tokens in here. Oh, that's cool. Well, whatever. It's not important. It's 100 cards to look through. Okay, next one. Commander Sphere. Ooh, since this is Commander format, I assume the Commander Sphere is probably good. It's 3 colorless, artifact, tap, add 1 mana of any color in your Commander's colony identity. Sacrifice Commander Sphere, draw a card. So, it's just 1 free mana every turn, and then sacrifice this card to draw a card if you... And you said this is spell speed too, so if it gets like targeted for an effect, you can just sack it to draw a card instead, right?
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so this card is probably very good because it says Commander Sphere and it works specifically with Commander. This is a good Commander card.
This card is kind of medium to bad. The problem is that the main reason you're playing this is to ramp you, and you really want your ramp to be like 2 mana or less. 3 mana is it's just slow, and it doesn't like produce any extra mana for being 3 mana. So it just isn't as good as the other mana rocks that you're paying. Like, you mostly want this out just to ramp you, and paying 1 extra mana versus like a card like Arcane Signet to be able to sack it to draw a card isn't worth it.
Yeah, there were a whole bunch of cheaper ones in the deck I had. So it was like the 1 more mana, because the other ones cost like 2, right?
Yeah.
Is that 1 more mana really that much worse?
Yes. Paying 1 more mana is the difference between being able to play a 4 mana card on turn 3 versus having to wait another turn to do it.
But it also allows you to sacrifice itself to draw a card.
Yeah, sure, but that isn't worth being that much slower.
Okay. All right, we'll go to the next one. Cyclonic Rift. 2 mana, instant, return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Overload 6 or 7. You may cast a spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing with all instants of target with each. So, return each non-land permanent you don't control to its own. Oh, it bounces everything. Huh. So, in a format where there's a whole bunch of different people playing, this can bounce the entire field. That seems really strong. I don't know how overload works, though. How does that work?
That is called an alternative cost, which means you pay it instead of the mana cost. So you can either pay the 2 mana for the main effect, or 7 mana for the half of the other effect.
So 7 mana bounce all creatures on the field, including artifacts. That sounds really good. This is good in Commander, right?
Yeah. So what's funny is that this card is very bad in every format but Commander, but it's excellent in Commander. And the reason is that the versatility of this card and the back half is just a lot more important in this card, in this format. Like, you're a lot more likely to get to 7 mana in Commander because you have 40 life, you have multiple opponents, you want to win big, and so getting rid of everything is a lot more impactful. There are a lot of times where, like, right before my turn starts, I'm going to overload this, get rid of everything, untap, play a big threat that buffs my whole board, swing and kill everybody. That's a very common play pattern. And so the ability to remove permanents at instant speed, especially all permanents, is very, very good. And it doesn't touch your board.
All the ones you don't control, so it's only your opponent's stuff.
Yeah.
That's even better.
Yeah, like, asymmetrical board wipes are a lot better in Commander, because they're a lot, like, in Garrick's Wake, that card that's, like, awful, that card's, like, okay in Commander. It's, like, not terrible, because, like, the game's slow enough that you can actually cast it, and the value of being able to kill everyone else's stuff but not your own is just better in a multiplayer format.
Yeah, someone says this is the best Commander card. I mean,
maybe.
In blue decks or whatever. Or the
It's
most
up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Next up, we have Door to Nothingness. Whoa. I don't know what that is, but it looks cool. It's an artifact. It costs 5 of any mana. Door to Nothingness enters the battlefield tapped. Whoa. That's a ridiculous cost. So 2 white, 2 blue, 2 black, 2 red, 2 green. So that's 10 mana to use this effect, right? Sacrifice Door to Nothingness. Target player loses the game. 10 mana of all the different colors. That's all the different colors in the game, right?
Yes.
Huh. Okay, this seems like a gimmick. This is probably a bad card.
Yeah, this card's terrible. First off, it only kills 1 person, because when someone loses the game in a multiplayer format, they lose. But like, your other opponents don't. So this kills 1 of your 3 opponents for 15 mana over 2 turns.
Dang.
Which, I mean, this would maybe be okay if it just said target player wins the game and you could like win off of it. But the fact that it only kills 1 person makes it so slow, and like you'd have to loop this twice to like win off of it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
and
it's
it
so
sacrifices
bad.
itself, so you can't even do it again on your next turn. Yeah, someone says pure meme. Okay. It says it's a gimmick, but it can be looped if you build around it. Oh, okay. Next up, we have Falling Star. Costs 3 mana. Sorcery. Someone sent this in on Twitter. Flip star onto the player's area from a height of at least 1 foot. Star must turn at least 360 degrees or it has no effect. When Falling Star lands, Falling Star deals 3 damage to each creature that it touches. Any creature damaged by falling stars that are not destroyed become tapped. So you have to throw this card into your opponent's things, but it has to spin at least once in the air.
It has to go at least 1 foot up.
And 1 foot up. Oh, wow. So you actually like throw it into the air and it has to spin. So this requires some manual dexterity in order to get the effect off. But for 3 mana, it only does 3 damage to the creature. Like, chances are you're going to hit 1 creature with this. That doesn't seem very good for like all the effort that requires to play it. It's probably not a good card, right? But it's probably banned because of how you use it. If it's not a joke card. I'm assuming this isn't a joke card, but...
This was before they started banning these effects from actual Magic for, like, not being accessible to people who, you know, like, aren't, you know, fully abled. Like, you know, if you have, like, weird things where, like, maybe you lost a finger in an accident or something.
Yeah, like
would, you know...
disabled... Yeah, that was my first thought. It's like, how does someone, like, you know, like a disorder going to use this?
So they just don't print these. So this card is banned in every format, just like Chaos Orb and all the other old like dexterity cards for not being like what they want in the game. It's also bad for the record.
Like, it didn't seem very good for all the effort to do it.
Like like 3 mana to deal 3 damage to each creature is an effect that exists. You can deal 3 damage. You can pay 3 mana to deal 3 damage to target creature if you want. Like there is no real upside to this card, and it's a sorcery. Like it's just terrible.
Yeah. That's funny. Falls off the table. Commander has a ban list even though it's casual. Yeah, I saw the ban list. There's a lot of cards on there because of, like, they just don't work in the format. I also saw they have some cards that aren't on the ban list that don't work in the format, but they're not banned because they just forgot. I don't know. Okay, next up we have Send Triplets. What is this? 5 mana? 3 of 2 different colors? No, 2 different colors, 3 of specific ones. It's a legendary artifact creature. Oh, so this is a commander.
It can also be in your 99 if you want to, but it can be your commander as well.
Yeah, because it's a legendary creature. Oh, it's a artifact creature. How does that work?
Like,
isn't that just like all downsides?
There are some upsides. It's basically just like what is it, like a trap monster where it's like it's a monster and a trap and get MST'd or blown up by a destroy monster effect. But there are like some things that like your artifacts are indestructible or whatever and would benefit from that. So it's mostly a downside, but there are some upsides to it.
Okay. So at the beginning of your upkeep, choose target opponent. This turn, that player can't play spells or activate abilities and plays with his or her hand revealed. You can play cards from that player's hand this turn. Whoa. That's broken. This is a broken card, isn't it?
It's okay.
We get hand your opponent's cards.
I mean, this is 5 mana. It works during your next turn. They have people like usually. First off, you have 3 opponents. They're probably just gonna kill this because everyone's scared of it. That's like the politics thing. Like nobody wants them to get triplets. So
what everyone's like commander. They can't do anything about that.
They just kill it over and over again. There's this term in Commander called being the arch enemy, which is when everyone hates you and wants to kill you because you're winning. And there are cards that are considered bad because they instantly make you the arch enemy, and this is one of those cards. Even if you're losing, playing this will make you the arch enemy. So on the politics side, it's very bad. Also, just power level wise, like it's 5 mana, which is a lot, and like they're just more proactive and strong like commanders. There are commanders for this much that can let you combo off really easy and stuff. Like, and you can't control what's in your opponent's hand, right? So there's a good chance that maybe they just don't have anything worth casting, right? Or that don't really work with your strategy. So
oh yeah, you have to pay the cost.
Yeah. I imagine like a card like this in Yu-Gi-Oh would be a lot better because it's just a lot easier to yoink cards out of people's hand and play them, and you have your whole extra deck for combo plays.
Maybe, like, Yu-Gi-Oh's soft limit on these kinds of things is, like, the archetype system.
Yeah.
You know, hey, politics, like, the original word of it is just people arguing against each other. That is the exact word to describe how you would do the commander style. Although, maybe there is a different word. What would be a different word for it?
Game theory, I guess, is refers to like rational actors trying to like compete in a thing. I've heard people talk about it in that sense too.
Game theory. I guess that works.
So,
It's a game theory. Okay, so Omniscience. This is 10 mana. Enchantment. You may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. Okay, this is broken. If you get 10 mana out, you can just cast everything from your hand. You can spit it all out. You can just win instantly if you get this out.
yeah, it's not too bad, but it is very good. This is very much a win more card, so a lot of the time it doesn't see play, but there are niche situations where it's seen play in like Legacy and stuff. And in Commander, again, it's a very win more heavy format because you have so many opponents and stuff like and you have so much life to get through because you have to do 120 damage to all your opponents, right? If you're gonna be the one to kill all of them.
Cheat it out, or that you can cheat it out.
Yeah, so you can cheat it out. You can also just ramp into it if you really want to, and if you just like build your deck around doing that, and it's very, very good. The mana cost is enough to not make it like format warping and too good, but it is still extremely strong. And
yeah, I would say like if you're gonna pay 10 mana for something, this is it.
Yeah.
Because then the mana cost doesn't matter. Like if that's your whole turn, it's not your whole turn because you can cast everything for free now.
Yeah, and if you just keep hitting draw spells, you can just like Pot of Greed through your deck, right?
Yeah, this is like the ultimate combo tool. It's like from now on, you get to play the game as if it's Yu-Gi-Oh, except it's not balanced around.
Yeah, no hard once per turns. Like
no hard once per turns, no archetypes restrictions.
Yeah, Pot of Greed unbanned.
Well, actually, like the hard once per turn is basically Yu-Gi-Oh's way of having a cost system. All modern cards with strong effects have hard once per turns. So the way to win is to play a whole bunch of different kinds of hard once per turns.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will say though, cheating this out is less consistent because you're in a 99 card deck. And so you have to like tutor for multiple pieces. So like
I forgot about that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why ramping this out is like generally done more because like if you just ramp a lot and you just have a bunch of good cards in your deck, well now you can just cast them all, right? And so
yeah.
It's a little bit easier. So it's like, it doesn't matter what's in my hand. It's going to be good. It's going to be worth it, right? So that's why ramp is very highly valued. And that's why people ramp into this a lot of the time.
Yeah. Someone said they started adding once per turns to MTG. And taking a thing off of Yu-Gi-Oh's book.
Yeah. It's actually weird. With some of the newest stat, they started putting a lot of like, this only happens once per turn clauses on like triggered abilities and stuff. It's kind of weird. But
taking a
it's
page
not a
from
bad
Yu-Gi-Oh's
thing.
book.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into the next one. Next up, we have Zergol Helm Smasher. He has lots of different mana costs, which means this is probably a commander. Let's see. Haste, that means charge. That means attack immediately. That means play like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Zergol Helm Smasher attacks each combat if able. Does he have to attack?
Yes. It's a requirement.
Oh, okay, that's why it's not, because in Yu-Gi-Oh, there are cards like this, but they say this card must attack, and it's lacking that must in here, so I was confused. But then again, like it wouldn't say this unless it was trying to get it to attack every turn.
Yeah.
Zergol Helm Smasher has indestructible as long as it's your turn. Ooh, that means it can't be destroyed by battle or card effects, right?
Yes.
Okay, because I remember I made a whole Yu-Gi-Oh top 10 video based on indestructible. I was like, in Magic, this is a term for can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. And in this video, we're going to go over cards that can't be destroyed by battle or card effects.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also damage, because that's how things work in. Like, it's just like, if something has damage on it, it would die as a part of, like, Magic's rules, but Indestructible also stops that.
Yeah. Just like, so the rulings on old school Waboku was that it prevented monsters from taking damage, which is how they weren't destroyable by battle.
Yeah.
But in Yu-Gi-Oh, monsters don't. Yeah, I put it out recently. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, monsters don't take damage.
Yeah.
Like the people who designed the game, they were treating it like Magic, who localized the cards or were trying to write them. They were treating it kind of like damage, and they were treating all monsters as if they take damage from a battle, they just heal up immediately afterwards. So,
yeah. Actually, I think like old Waboku's effect text is like the exact same as Fog, and that's how Fog works in Magic. Like that's an effect we get where it's like, oh, just prevent all the damage. But like, yeah, they just like pretended it was Magic for a second.
Yeah, they tried to do it but the thing is, like, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't work that way, so no one
Yeah.
understood how the card worked. So they had, when the reprint, they're like, okay, this is how it actually works. It's always worked this way. It's just you had to know the rulings. Well, I mean, the rulings didn't even tell you how it worked either. You literally just had to look it up online. It's like, oh yeah, this is how Wabaku's supposed to work because it's referencing things that don't exist in the game.
Yeah.
Okay, so whenever a creature dealt damage by Zergal Helmmaster this turn dies, put a 1/1 counter on this card. Oh, this dude's big. Okay, so he hits the battlefield. He can attack immediately. He's indestructible during your turn, so he can crash into anything without worry. And if he dealt damage by this turn dies, if he destroys something, he gains a +1/+1 permanently. So this thing is probably used as a commander to just like get really big, and just be a huge target for everyone's removal outside of your turn. Probably not very good. Is that true?
Yeah, it has a lot of problems. It's very easily chump block. It has no evasion. It can't like fly. Doesn't have menace. It doesn't have trample. So it's very hard to actually hit your opponent with this. They can block this with a 0/1, and they just take no damage. It's very easy to remove. 2 toughness is tiny. In pretty much every color has access to ways to destroy creatures. Indestructible as long as it's your turn doesn't really help very much because they can just remove it during their turn.
Yeah.
So it's like it's okay, but it's just this type of commander just isn't very strong, and this is not a particularly strong like combat focused commander.
Oh, it's not even strong for what it does?
No, there are much better ones. You'd rather like have one that just like either is much harder to remove or is much better at becoming very strong, very large. There are like some that like have double strike or like other like that have ways of being like way more above rate and doing a lot of damage very quickly, and you can just work on making them hard to remove or making them evasive, or ones that are hard to remove and that you can just make big, and so you'd rather do that. That isn't very good at protecting itself or at doing damage, and there are like commanders that are good at those things. So
someone says it's semi-popular in Voltron Commander, where you build around it. Voltron Commander, from what I remember from the instruction video, I was just you buff up 1 minion because there's an alternative win condition commander where I forget, is it if a commander does 21 damage you win? Or
yes, if the commander deals 21 combat damage specifically.
So if it attacks into like 0/1 creatures, does it count his 7 attack as 1 combat damage or 7?
No. It has to deal the damage to the opponent. You have to directly. Like, whenever, and it's sort of like an alternate loss condition is if you've taken 21 damage from one person's commander, you lose the game. So you only have to hit people for 21 damage to kill them with your commander. So if you're just trying to like get in there with one creature, your commander's the best creature to do it.
Yeah, so this one hits 3 times and you win instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that seems like a win condition that probably won't come up very often because of how easy it is to block.
Yeah, you can make it happen if you build around it, but like again, you become archenemy if you do that, which is part of the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Urza, Lord High Artificer. Legendary creature. He's only blue mana though, so if you play this as your commander, you can only use blue mana. Okay, so when Urza, Lord High Artificer, enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 colorless construct artifact token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Okay, tap an untapped artifact you control, add a blue mana. Oh. And pay 5, shuffle your library, then exile the top card. Until the end of your turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. So, when he enters the battlefield, he creates an artifact, which he can then immediately tap for mana. But he can also tap all your artifacts for mana. So if you have a way to just cheat out artifacts in the field, you can just gain a whole bunch of mana. This is probably a good card.
This card was a mistake. It's so good. It's ramp. and card draw, because you can activate that bottom ability as many times as you want to like just start drawing cards. So if you can just put like vomit a bunch of artifacts onto the field. There are tons of really good cheap artifacts that cost like 1 mana or 0 mana in some cases. So you just like play a bunch of those, play this, tap it, start exiling cards until you find your win condition. There's so many tricks with this. There are lots of old cards that are artifacts that when they're tapped, their effects are off. So there's like, so you can there's some of these cards that are like stacks effects that are like floodgate effects. So you play it, and it has effects where as long as it's untapped, it's like stacks effect is active. Then you pass to your opponent. All 3 of your opponents have to deal with it. You tap it before your turn and on your turn, and then you don't have to deal with its negative effect. Winter Orb is a really strong one, and like this combos really well with that. It's like a nightmare of a card to play against.
Yeah, everybody's saying like it's infinite mana. Can you really get infinite mana with this card?
Yeah, it shouldn't. Like, let me see. What do you need? Paradox Engine would do it because every time you cast a spell, it would untap all your stuff. You just have to find some way to like use some mana to untap a bunch of artifacts. I think dramatic. If you have Isochron Scepter with dramatic reversal under it, Isochron Scepter lets you copy whatever spell you exile with it, and dramatic reversal lets you untap all your non-land permanents. So you can tap a few artifacts for mana, activate your Isochron Scepter to untap all your artifacts, and then keep doing that. So there are a few ways to do it. Paradox Engine
a lot
is
of people
banned,
are saying
actually.
there's lots of infinite loops you can do with this.
I know of a few, but I'd have to like look at a list and see them all. I think this is a CEDH commander, which means that the people who like really try hard the format have found ways to break this. Being in blue is a relevant restriction, but blue is probably the best color in Magic, so it's a good color to be stuck in.
Okay. So next up we have Najeela the Blade Blossom. It is a red commander, legendary creature. Whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. What? Whenever a warrior attacks, you may have the controller create a 1/1 warrior. So if a warrior attacks, you just create a token that immediately attacks afterwards?
Yes. That attacks at the same Magic, you declare all attackers at the same time, and combat happens all at the same time. So you have multiple creatures attacking at once. So basically, whenever any of your warriors attack, because this was there's another format called Two-Headed Giant where two players play against 2 other players on a team, and it's worded this way so that if your partner has warrior creatures, you can give them creatures as well, but you wouldn't do that in Commander. So just whenever you attack with a warrior, you get another 1/1 that's also attacking. And another ruling thing, this is technically a 5-color commander because we count color identity.
Oops.
And it has all 5 colors there in the activation.
Oh yeah, I totally missed that. Yeah, so this can actually be used with all colors because it has an effect where you untap all 5 mana, 1 of each. Untap all attacking creatures. They gain trample, lifelink, and haste until the end of your turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat. Huh. Well, the mana cost seems ridiculous, but that effect seems legit. Creating a token every time your warriors attack. That seems good. This is probably a good card, regardless of how good this activated effect is. Especially since it gives you access to all types of mana.
So
is that true?
The activated effect is actually what breaks this card because you can.
Really?
Yes. What you can do is you can actually turn the warriors into mana with some other cards, which will allow you to activate its ability again. So you have enough warriors, you can attack with all your dudes, make a bunch of 1/1s, and then sack your 1/1s to get the mana to use its ability again, which means you can take infinite combats and deal infinite damage and win the game. This is also a CEDH commander because the combos with that are pretty strong, and having one of your combo pieces in your command zone where you always have access to it is really helpful.
Yeah, someone says she's broken. Wow, I didn't think she'd be broken. Okay. Next up, we have Feldegriff. Feldegriff. It is a 4-mana creature, legendary Feldegriff. It's its own type of creature. Feldegriff gains trample until the end of the turn. Target opponent puts a 1/1 green hippo token into play. So you have to pay 1 green for that. If you pay a white, Felidegriff gains flying until the end of the turn. Target opponent gains 2 life. Okay, and a blue mana, return Felidegriff to its owner's hand. The target opponent may draw a card. So none of those seem very good. Is this a joke card?
No, this is an old card. So sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh, especially like stat-wise, creatures have gotten power crept a lot. So remember how Hitotsu, I think it's Hitotsu Giant, was like the biggest monster in Yu-Gi-Oh for a while, right? Like, this being a 4/4 for 4 used to be a good stat line. It's terrible now, but that used to be a big creature in the old days. This would need to be like a 6/6 nowadays for what it does. And being able to gain those combat abilities used to be like worth those downsides. It's not at all nowadays, but basically this is just a really old card that was always kind of bad, but at least reasonable when it was printed, but it's gone power crept hard. But now people will build fun decks, like super casual, like they call them group hug decks, where you just give your opponent stuff and you just make it easier for them to win, and you don't try to win at all. And this is the commander they use for that, because people like the weird purple hippo, and it has a lot of really fun abilities to give people stuff.
Okay, everyone has fun together.
Yeah.
Okay, it's best card artwork. Yeah, this card's weird. Okay, Armageddon. Sorcery. Destroy all lands for 4 mana. From what I heard from the video, being able to destroy all lands is frowned upon. So I'm going to say this is a very good card.
Yeah, these effects are pretty strong. People don't like them. I think people get a little too salty about it. I think it's weird that people are like, no, you can't do that. But like, it's a competitive game. Like at some point, someone has to win. So it's like, this is a way to win the game. But it is a very strong effect, to say the least. If you have the best board state, or you have like a bunch of mana rocks or something, and no one else does, you can just play this, and you're the only one who gets to play. And at that point, you basically just win. You can also, for example, there are ways to give your own lands indestructible for a turn. And then if you do that and then play this, you get to keep all your lands, all of theirs are gone. And so there are lots of ways to make this not symmetrical, basically.
Someone says it's a bit too slow, though. It's only 4 mana in Commander. You destroy so many lands, though. How is this too slow?
I think it's too slow for like CEDH, because like Commander, like despite being a very casual format, has the exact same card pool as like the most powerful formats in Magic. And there are like, for 4 mana with the right combination of cards in your hand, you could literally just be winning the game, like outright,
oh, okay.
not like almost winning. So there are better things to do, but this is still strong.
Okay. Well, if they don't like land destruction so much, why don't they just ban the cards that do it?
I don't know. Nobody knows. The rules committee makes weird decisions.
Okay. Next up, we have Asmoronomardicetinacular Delcar. Is that how you say it?
I have no idea. I don't know.
Asmoronomardicetinacular.
I just call her Asmaran.
Asmaran. Oh, Araman. What's the name of that? The most popular female Twitch streamer in the world? Aramath?
I don't know. I don't keep up with Twitch too much. Someone in chat might know.
I'm sure someone in chat will know. She's very popular. Pokemon?
Is it?
No. Amaranth? Yeah, I think that's who it is. Asmoranomaradicetinacular Sedekar. Amaranth? Yeah, Amaranth. I think that's her name. So, legendary creature. She doesn't have a mana cost.
Yeah.
As long as you've discovered a card this turn, you may pay
Discard
black. Oh. God, I don't know how I misread that. As long as you've discarded a card this turn, you may pay these 2 to cast the spell.
That is, I was going to say, that's a hybrid mana, which means either a black or a red. So it's not 2 mana, it's 1 mana. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure.
Okay, so when Amaranth enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card to name the Underworld Cookbook. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Sacrifice 2 foods. Target creature deals 6 damage to itself. Wait, what? So if she enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a card that has this name, put it into your hand, and then sacrifice 2 foods, which I assume is a card you put on the field.
Food is a token type. I went ahead and sent you the Underworld Cookbook so that you can, because they're basically both halves of one card, so I think you need to see it in order to evaluate this card.
Oh, discard a card, create a food token. It's an artifact with 2 mana, tap, sacrifices artifact, you gain 3 life. Create a food token. And it taps the card. So you can do that once per turn, and then 4 plus tap, sacrifice the Underworld Cookbook, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Oh, okay. So you bring out the cookbook, which cost 1 mana to play, and then you have to tap it and you get a food out. And then you can sacrifice 2 food to deal... Target creature deals 6 damage to itself. How does a creature deal damage to itself?
It just does. It deals 6 damage to itself.
So, like, if it has an effect that destroys cards, would it trigger if it destroys itself through this effect?
Yes. Death Touch creatures will always kill themselves, even though they have more toughness. If you have a lifelink creature, they will gain 6 life off of it. Yeah. It's the source of the damage, so the effects still apply.
Okay, that's weird. How do you bring this card out? What's its mana cost?
It has no mana cost, and you can't cast it. You have to cast it for the black-red hybrid cost that you can only do if you've discarded a card this turn. There are some spells in Magic that just don't have a mana cost. It's weird. They always have some other way to cheat them out.
Gotcha. Okay. So this card is weird.
Yeah.
If it was used as a commander... The cookbook, which has an effect, gain 3 life. I don't know. This seems mediocre. I can't see too much problems with it. This is probably sent in because of its name.
Yeah. This card's all right. It's not the best commander. It's basically like if you're in some weird. If you build around it, you can obviously get enough foods to be able to kill stuff with it. You can also make the discarding inherent to both halves of the card, not too big of a downside, but it's not a very proactive commander, which makes it a lot worse. A 3/3 isn't a big body. This saw a little bit of play at, I think, like some 60 card actual competitive formats where it was okay, but it wasn't ever great. And it's better in those formats than it is in Commander because having like a 1 mana 3/3 is relevant in a format where you only have 20 life. The removal is more relevant too, because people are gonna care more about their creatures than they would in Commander. So this is really worse Commander card than it is in most Magic formats.
Oh, okay. To help pronounce is As Morano, Mardika, Diestina, Hildekar. Why is her name so long?
They put that character's card name as a joke in flavor text one time, and then they decided to bring it back as a reference for anybody who got it. So it is a joke card, but it's a playable card. It's not an unset card.
Okay. So next up we have Norin the Way.
Wary.
It's one. Wait, what?
Wary. He's wary, like scared.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how I missed the R. Actually, I do know. I'm sick. You can cut me some slack on that.
All right.
Okay, so I meant chat, not you. The chat's the one who flips out when I mispronounce things. Let's see. Norin the Wary. It cost 1 mana. Target creature. When a player plays a spell or a creature attacks. Wait, when a player plays a spell or a creature attacks, remove Norin the Wary from the game. Return it to the player under its own control at the end of the turn. Oh, he's like Thunderbird. Oh, that's good. Thunderbird's really good. So you can just like have this card disappear at the first sign of any kind of like.
You have to. It's not a may.
Oh.
If he attacks, he will go to exile and then come back. This is an old card, so the wording has changed. But
so even if
anyone
he attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not as good as Thunderbird then. This is probably not a very good card.
It's okay. There are shenanigans. You do have to like build around it in a weird way where you basically build your deck such that having a creature enter the battlefield is in and of itself like does things. So there are cards that will have their abilities that trigger when a creature comes in, and so this is just basically lets you make sure a creature enters the battlefield every single turn. So there are cards that like whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you make a 1/1 creature token, or whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, you make a 1/1 creature token. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, deal 2 damage to each opponent, stuff like that. And so basically he's played as a combo piece, and since he's a legendary creature, he can be your commander. It's not particularly powerful, but there are gimmicks.
So when it returns, it counts as playing a creature?
It does not. Magic has a distinction where there are cards that will trigger whenever something enters the battlefield and when something is cast. So
it enters the battlefield.
Yes, it will enter the battlefield when its effect brings it back. It will not be cast. So some cards that care about casting things won't trigger, but anything that cares about entering the battlefield, which there are several, will.
Gotcha. I just assumed it was like Thunderbird, where no effects trigger off of it returning. Because Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't really have that. They have lots of effects where, if a card is summoned, blah, 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 but Thunderbird's effect is treated as it just returns, which means nothing. And nothing triggers off of it. So I just assumed that'd be the same case in Magic, but I guess that's not true. So it's like, yeah, I can see that's a lot more useful in Magic. That's probably why it's not as good as Thunderbird. The first part where you can't just choose to remove it whenever you want. You have to do it mandatory.
Yeah, it will basically be removed from play every single, like, it will go to exile and come back every single turn, basically. Because people are going to cast a spell.
Yeah, just like Thunderbird. Okay, Thunderbird just basically phases back in Magic turns. Yeah.
Yeah, phasing is a weird mechanic.
Yeah, I think I read it once and I still don't understand how it works. Okay, so Barren Glory. This one costs 6 mana, enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no permanents other than Barren Glory and have no cards in your hand, you win the game. How do you not have any cards in your hand at the beginning of your upkeep? Oh, what, you can just cast it immediately, right? During your draw phase?
No. So in Magic, the beginning phase is untap, upkeep, draw. So your upkeep happens before you draw a card in Magic.
Oh,
so that's how you... that was one of the things that confused me about Yu-Gi-Oh! Actually, when I first went there. It's like, wait, the standby phase is after the draw step?
Yeah, I just assumed it was like the standby phase, so after the draw step. It's like, okay, this is easier to activate then.
Yes.
At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control no permanents other than this card and have no cards in your hand, you win the game. This seems really hard to pull off. This is probably a gimmick.
Oh, this card's terrible. First off, Battle of Wits is easier to do than this, and it's still bad. So, like, also, like, if you set up for this, you got rid of your hand and all your permanents except for this. And if they, like, stop it, like, you just lose immediately.
Yeah.
So, what's funny about this card is I'll send it to you in a Discord message, but there was an unset card called The Cheese Stands Alone that was just this card. But I'd actually printed it as a real card after the unset card came out.
You have no cards in your hand other than The Cheese Stands Alone and no cards in your hand, you win the game. This one seems easier to cast, though.
It's easier to activate because it triggers whenever rather than just during your upkeep. The fact that it only happens during your upkeep actually makes it significantly worse.
Yeah, it's worse than the joke card. That's funny.
Yeah. I don't know why they made the joke card worse. Like, the joke card is a perfectly printable card. It works in Magic rules. So I don't know why they changed it.
Yeah, that's odd. Okay, let's go on to the next one. So we have the Uncaged Menagerie.
Uncaged the Menagerie.
Uncaged the Menagerie. It costs X, 2 greens, a sorcery. Search your library for up to X creature cards with different names that each have the converted mana cost of X. Reveal them, then put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. How do you cast this?
X is whatever mana cost, however much mana you put into it. So, for example, if you can pay 4 mana for this, X will be 2 because 2 green minus, so 4 minus 2 is 2, right? So you'll search your library for up to 2 cards, up to 2 creatures with different names that each have a converted mana cost of 2, because you'll pay 2 mana for it. You reveal them, put it in your hand. You can pay 3 mana to find 3 creature cards with different names that have a mana cost of 3. Reveal them, put them in your hand. You can also pay 1 to find a 1 card with a mana cost of 1. Reveal it, put it into your hand. So,
well, you can pay 1, but it says at least 2 green.
Oh, I mean 1 as X. So you basically you say X is going to be this number. Then you say, okay, so I'm going to pay 1 for X. So 1, green, green, right?
Okay,
And then
so you can play 0 2 for X, right?
yes, but it won't do anything because you search for up to X. So if you search for up to 0, you find none. But you can't pay 0.
Oh, okay. So you have to pay at least 1, which would mean you can search for 1 creature that costs 3 mana.
It costs 1 because X is 1.
So those aren't included in the X part of this effect?
No.
Okay, so you'd have to pay like 5 mana, which would be 3 of the X, and then you'd be able to search up to 3 creatures that cost 3 each, right?
Yeah, that each costs 3. Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
Okay, so this card seems pretty good. This is probably a good card. That's a lot of search. What's the consensus?
It's pretty good. It's not amazing. To get a reasonable number of cards and cards you want, you have to put in a lot of mana. But it can find you like both halves of a combo. This card is like pretty good, but not like insane. The restrictions are just enough to make it not crazy.
I guess it is kind of odd. Like you have to pay 2 extra mana.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, searching isn't super a big deal in this game. Searching
is good, but like it really matters. Like mana cost is just so important, and like paying like I think casting this for like 4 mana to find like 2 good cards is worth it a lot of the time. I think I play this in some of my decks, but it's not like crazy a lot of the time. Like, and the thing is, like you've seen a bunch of bad tutors. There are some really good and efficient tutors in the game, and so the one of the things that holds cards like this back is that like demonic tutor exists and it's legal in the format. Just play demonic tutor, right? It's like 2 mana, find whatever you want, you know. So a lot of these search cards are just like not as good as the better searchers, and that's why they're bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Next one, we have Experiment Courage. Whoa, this thing is what is that? 6 mana? Yeah.
Yes.
Legendary creature, Ooze Mutant. Oh, so this can be used as a commander. Experiment Courage has all activated abilities of each other creature with a +1/+1 counter on it. Tap, put a +1/+1 counter on 1 target creature. Oh my god. This thing is broken. It copies effects by just putting a counter on them. Yeah, this thing's broken. This thing's good.
It's good. Its mana cost makes it not broken. It is too slow. You can very easily make infinite combos with this when you the game. That is something you can do with this, but it doesn't have haste. So this ability to put a +1/+1 counter on something, or any tap ability you give it, you have to give it haste, which is another part of the combo, which makes it slower and less consistent. It's also 6 mana, which is a lot. People are winning the game by the time you're casting this, so you know it can win you the game. But like, this is a good card. It's not quite broken just because it's just slow enough. Like if this was like 4 mana, it would probably be broken. If it had haste, it would probably be broken. But like it's just slow and janky enough to not quite get there.
Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, the ability to copy monster effects is really broken.
Yeah.
So I would assume in Magic, where there's more monsters, I just assume there's probably some combinations that make it broken, because that's how it exists in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, there definitely are some very good activated abilities you can give this. Like, there are like ways to like, there's like activated abilities like put a -1/-1 counter on this creature, untap it, or like there are cards with an untap symbol, which was a weird mechanic they did for a little while, where as a cost you would untap a thing, so you can like put a +1/+1 counter on a thing with that, and then untap, do it again. Yeah, I don't know why they did that. It was a really weird mechanic, but so there are a lot of weird things you can get up to with this, and a lot of them are infinite combos. But being 6 mana makes it slow enough that it's not good as like some of the faster infinite 2-card infinite wins.
Okay, I gotcha. All right, let's go on to the next one. We have Gamble. Cost 1 mana, sorcery. Search your library for a card. Put that card into your hand. Discard a card at random, then shuffle your library. Huh. So, okay, I get what the gamble is. So you search out any card you want, and then there's a gamble, the chance that it will be discarded. I'd say this card's really good. Holy crap. This is very good, right?
Yeah, this card's very good. It's 1 mana, which is like the cheapest amount you can
Yeah, it's only
reasonably
1
ask to
mana.
cast for. Yeah, a 1 mana tutor is very good. This is also off color for tutoring. Red doesn't get tutors. Like black is the only color that gets tutors for anything.
Uh-huh.
Blue can search for artifacts, instants, and sorceries. Green can search for like creatures and lands. White can search for artifacts and enchantments. Red basically doesn't get to search for anything. So the fact that this is a red tutor, so it can go in like mono red decks, is pretty crazy. It makes it a lot more valuable. It's also one of the better tutors. It's the cheapest one that just lets you search for anything and give you access to it immediately. You do have to gamble, and sometimes you will lose because you lose the gamble. But
Mm-hmm.
like you're playing this on like very early, you probably have other cards in your hand. A lot of the time, like let's say you have like 4 cards in your hand when you cast this, and you want to not discard the card you tutor or one other card in your hand. That means you have a 50-50 chance of getting what you want, and a lot of the time, gambling for the card will let you win there, right? So the math on this is often worth it. So this is very, very good.
Someone says there's a running joke that it's an entomb, aka a search for the graveyard. So like Foolish Burial, as I assume that's how entomb works.
Yeah, Entomb is a card. It's just Foolish Burials, but it can Foolish Burial anything for 1 black mana at instant speed. It's a pretty good card. Entomb is pretty good.
Yeah, because Foolish Burial is only monsters, right? I forgot. Okay, so anything. Man, that would be really good in Yu-Gi-Oh! Considering Foolish Burial is limited and really good.
Foolish Burial of Goods not played a lot though.
No, it's played all the time. Foolish Burial.
Oh really? I remember. I guess that was a few years ago. But I was talking to someone about Yu-Gi-Oh! About Foolish Burial of Goods, the one that like found spell cards or whatever, and they said it wasn't
Foolish
used
Burial
very
Goods. That one is not played anywhere near as much as Foolish Burial, but it does still see play nonetheless. That one's more of a niche card because all it sends is spell or traps to the grave, which aren't as valuable as sending monsters, but it is still valuable.
Yeah,
like if you send Metalfoes Fusion to the graveyard, it's just a pure +1. I mean, not +1, but like card neutral cycle.
Yeah. What is it? Like people mostly entomb creatures in Magic anyway, so I would assume that would be worse. Yeah. But yeah, this card's really good. Gamble's great.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I bet this would be super good in my Bone Tower meal deck.
I'd imagine this card would be pretty great in Yu-Gi-Oh! Too.
Yeah, I was playing like this deck the other day, where all the deck was trying to do was get 2 specific cards in the grave, and also search out a specific card, and this would be so good in that.
Yeah. I do wonder if it... Sorry, I was just going to ask. I'm just kind of wondering if Gamble would be a printable card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, would it be too good? It'd probably need a once per turn and everything, but like...
If they printed this in Yu-Gi-Oh! It would probably be like, banish 7 cards from your extra deck face down at random, then search a card. You can't draw any other cards to the rest of this turn, and also this card would be banned because it'd still be too good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it would be ridiculously good. Okay, next up we have Gifts Ungiven. 4 mana, instant. Search your library for up to 4 cards with different names and reveal them. Target opponent chooses 2 of those cards, put those chosen cards into your graveyard, and the rest into your hand. Shuffle your library afterwards. This is a better painful decision. But it costs 4 mana. You told me 4 mana is not a... This is good. This is probably a good card. I don't care if this is expensive.
This card sees competitive play in Modern. It doesn't in Legacy because it's a better version in Legacy, but this is also banned in Commander because you cast this at the end step before your turn and then you win every time. Like it's so easy to make piles that just win you the game next turn.
Yeah. This is a better version of a banned Yu-Gi-Oh card. Oh my god. But then again, there's a whole bunch of better versions of banned Yu-Gi-Oh cards that just don't see play in Magic. Especially since you said attacking your opponent's hand isn't a big deal.
Yeah, actually, it's like never done in Commander because it's always target opponent, and like you don't want to go -1 to get 1 card out of one of your opponent's hands. Like you just lost a card on your other opponent, so that's very bad.
Yeah, for sure. You're probably better off trying to build up your board.
Yeah.
I assume. I don't know. Okay, next up, we have Hex. 6 mana, destroy 6 target creatures. Damn. 6 destructions? That seems 6 mana. No, that's good. That's 1 mana per creature. This is a good card, isn't it?
It's awful. The problem with this
card.
The problem with this card is that it says destroy 6 target creatures and not destroy up to 6 target creatures. So
Oh.
you have to have 6 targets for it, or you can't use it. And if some of those 6 targets are your own creatures, you have to blow up your own creatures. This would maybe be playable. It probably wouldn't be as good as like the 4 mana wraths in the format if if it were that. But the fact that you have to target the 6 creatures makes this unplayably bad because it's just too clunky. It just doesn't have the targets. You need to be able to cast it.
In Commander, with like 4 people playing, there's no way there's not going to be 6 creatures to pop.
A lot of the time, I mean, this is one of those cards that's gone worse. Like, people have just slowly been building better and better Commander decks, and so it's getting to the point where a lot of times people only have like 1 or 2 really strong creatures on the field and like nothing else. And especially if you have like a more spell-slingery person at the table who like maybe hasn't even played their Commander because they don't need to. Like, there's a good chance that they just don't have any creatures out, and like a lot of the time this just won't do anything. And a lot of the times people are swarming the board, they're playing like 10, 12 creatures and like spamming tokens. Like, destroying 6 of their dudes doesn't really do too much, you know?
Yeah. Someone said it's like the double Book of Moon card. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Double Book of Moon sucks. Okay, so Crack's Thumb.
Kark.
Kark?
Arc. Yeah, Kark.
Oh, Krark's Thumb. Cost 2 of any mana, a legendary artifact. If you would flip a coin, instead flip 2 coins and ignore 1. Ooh. Ooh, it's like second coin toss. Except it works every time instead of once per turn. I don't know how prevalent flipping coins is in this game, but in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's not really a big deal. So I'm going to say this is probably not super good.
This is the best coin flipping card, but flipping coins do not have many good cards, so it's not worth it.
Yeah, so just like Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
Because I just put like a whole series on why gamble cards failed in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, there is another card in the unset called Krark's Other Thumb that has the exact same effect. That's one of my favorite Magic cards. It's Krark's Other Thumb. But yeah, it's just it's support for a really bad mechanic, so it just doesn't do much.
Yeah, the only time a gamble deck was good was in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, and that was because they had a skill that literally let you force a positive result 3 times. And it's like, yeah, that's not half bad, because these cards are like, this one still doesn't give you a positive result, it just gives you a higher chance at it.
Wait, was I wrong about Krark's Other Thumb? I just saw someone.
Oh, Krark's Other Thumb was for dice rolling? Oh.
It is for dice rolling, right? So I was wrong because I forgot in that unset they did dice rolling as a mechanic, so they printed this for dice. I completely forgot. I just remembered the joke. So yes, I was incorrect.
Would be broken in Pokemon? Yeah, Pokemon there's tons of coin tosses.
Oh yeah.
Like that's just a normal mechanic. Yeah.
I think there is a card that lets you do that. I can't remember. I think Gloomwood Tangle is only for attacks though. And those decks aren't quite good enough, but Gloomwood Tangle is really good in those decks in Pokemon.
Oh, are you a Pokemon expert too?
I'm not an expert. I do play the game though.
Oh, I should have you on for another Pokemon episode.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
The only reason I haven't done another Pokemon episode because I don't have a Pokemon expert.
Like, here's the thing: is if we did that, I'd probably want to go into one of the Discords I'm in and like get some help from some other players and like review the card list first, because I'm not confident enough to speak on the game without help from other people. I play it pretty occasionally, so
well, that's still more than how I play it.
Yeah, which is not at all.
If you're wrong, chat will just yell at you incessantly, and then you'll know.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one. We are getting close through this. There's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 left. Okay. Well, I haven't lost my voice yet, but that's just because I've been just popping cough drops this whole time. My voice is super rough.
Sorry, let me turn my phone off. I'm not sure if you guys heard that or not, but...
No, I didn't hear it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so next up we have a Planeswalker. Ooh, Narset, Parter of Veils. Cost 3 mana. Each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. Oh, that seems good. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from amongst them and put it into your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your deck in any random order. And put it into your hand. -2. It doesn't have a way to gain any renown. Can this even be used in Commander? Because it doesn't say that it can.
Oh no, you can. This can't be your commander, but you are allowed to just run legendary creatures or legendary planeswalkers in your 99 cards. So this
Okay.
can only be in your normal deck, but it cannot be your commander.
Well, it seems good for the floodgate effect. I'm gonna say it's probably a good card.
Both effects of this are extremely good. So the way this is
Really?
played is basically I forget what it's called, but you know, there's a card in Yu-Gi-Oh that's like each player discards their hand and draws that many cards or something.
Mm-hmm.
There are versions of that in Magic.
Card destruction.
Yeah, there are versions of that in Magic called wheel effects that say like each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. So it can actually get you card advantage, and those cards are extremely good. So this was played. I think I remember someone talking about how Joel and Lockbird used to see play with card destruction. I think it was as a sort of combo. This sort of sees
Trickstar
plays
reincarnation. Yeah, it's basically the same thing, but only for your opponent's hand.
So basically, this sees play like that, except both halves of the combo are just good cards anyway. Because you want to play Wheel of Fortune and your other like wheel effects, and you want to play Narset Potter Avails because it's a floodgate or a stacks or a floodgate effect that also finds you other cards from your deck to play. So like both, the ability to just like that's card advantage, right? That's a +1 over a couple of turns.
Yeah. So with this effect, if it's on the field, can you just play a wheel card in order to get rid of your opponent's hand and only give him 1?
Yes.
And you don't have to do anything special. You just play it in sequence.
Yeah, you play this and then you cast the wheel effect. You have to have the mana to do so.
Because in order to do the Trickstar combo, you need to like take advantage of game rulings in order to do it, because you're not allowed to just activate Troll and then get rid of your opponent's hand and they can't draw anything.
No,
because you can't resolve in a card. Like, you're not allowed to use a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! If the effect can't resolve. So you have to, like, get around it. So this one, I guess technically, it wouldn't resolve because they can only draw 1 card.
No, in Magic, Magic, as a Magic judge, watching some of that stuff and, like, Distant Coder do rulings, I've started watching him now. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's not the same at all. Like, in Magic, if, like, let's say there are, like, non-interruptible loops that just happen in Magic and that neither player can stop. If that happens, the game is just a draw. It doesn't like say destroy the problem card or do anything else. It's just we can't do anything. It's a draw now. Sorry. If you like, the rules are just very different. Like like if a card effect can't resolve, you just resolve as much of it as you can, basically.
What? Someone said you can even fail to find a card?
Yes. No. If you
what? You can't do that in Yu-Gi-Oh!
It's very specific. If you have a card like Demonic Tutor, which searches any card, and you have cards in your library, you cannot fail to find because there is a card in your deck that you can put into your hand. If it searches for specific cards, like for example, Gifts Ungiven, there's no way to prove that you have 4 cards with different names. So you can fail to find as many cards in your deck as long as you find at least 1, because we don't know if you have 4 cards with different names in your deck.
Yeah, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! You wouldn't be able to play that if you couldn't resolve it.
No,
because there is a card which has the effect where you like search out a card from your deck. Oh no, wait, no, that's a bad example. There's a Crop Circles, that's a better one, where you have to search specific types of alien monsters from your deck, but if you fail to find a target, you take 2,000 points of damage. However, you can't activate that card unless you have a target in your deck in the first place.
Yeah.
So the failing to find penalty only applies as if it leaves the field, like you lose targets after you've activated the effect of the card already.
No,
so it's really hard to take the blowback damage.
No. If you were to play a card that fought the Uncage the Menagerie card, and you only had 1 card that cost 7 mana, let's say, and it was like go find 7. It's like no, you could just go find the 1 card and not find the other 6.
That's so weird. You can't do that in Yu-Gi-Oh! That's cheating.
No, you're totally allowed to.
You can't. That's not
also,
how it works in Yu-Gi-Oh!
This is something that someone else mentioned. Chains in the stack do work differently. One thing I learned about Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that once the chain starts resolving, it all just resolves. In Magic, you're allowed to take away from the stack, add to the stack, take away, add again. You just do that as much as you want.
What?
Yeah, so let's say someone casts a spell and someone casts another spell, you can wait for that spell to resolve and then activate another ability or cast another spell in response to the original spell.
What? You can just chain while the chain is resolving?
Well, it resolves one thing at a time. So the one ability or spell resolved on the stack. Okay, everyone get priority again. Everyone choose if they want to activate or cast any spells. Okay, are we doing anything else? All right, next one. And it just keeps going again and again. It resolves everything one at a time in sequence.
That's nutty. That's so weird. The fundamental, those things don't really come up very often. So this is probably like niche ruling things. Niche ruling distinctions from Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic. Like normally you're not playing search cards if you can't search anything anyway. And they don't really have complicated search cards in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go on to the next one. We have Phyrexian Area.
Phyrexian. People will get very mad if you mispronounce this one.
Phyrexian Arena.
Yeah, people love the Phyrexians.
Phyrexian. Okay, so it costs 3 mana.
Whatever.
Wait, what did I say?
It can be, I was going to say it's like Phyrexian, whatever.
Phyrexian. But it's Phyrexian. Phyrexian.
You can pronounce it however you want. I've heard people say it different ways. But...
Phyrexian Arena. 3 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may draw a card and lose 1 life. Oh, that seems good. This is a good card.
So I think Chad might get mad at me for this one. I was going to say this card's not good. This card is not good enough. There are 3 mana, draw 3, lose 3 life in black. Just draw the cards right now. Like the game, the average turn count for a game is like turn 6 or 7 in Commander. If you play this on 3, which you're not always going to do because you might want to be ramping in Commander. Instead, this is only going to draw you as many cards if it doesn't get removed at any point in the game. And people love to remove this card. It's sort of a haymaker like type card that people want to get rid of. There are better draw effects that draw you the cards right now. Having the cards right now is better than drawing 1 card each turn. It's too slow. There are much better draw effects than this card.
A lot of chat is saying like it's decent or no, it's bad, or I think I only saw like one person say it's good. Yeah,
the thing like. We have this thing called EDH rec that like tells you how much people are playing this card. This card sees so much play still. Like people keep like jamming it in all their black decks. And it's like, guys, we have better cards. Like, I don't know. It's just like,
why is it played so much if it's not good?
Because it's okay. It's like decent. It's like it's one of those like fringe things where it's like, oh yeah, it's good, but like there are much better cards. You shouldn't be playing this anymore.
Yeah,
like,
I mean the effect is good.
Yeah, it's like an outmoded card, basically. It's like been power crept slightly. So, but it used to be like a haymaker, super popular. I think this card's still super expensive too, though. I think it's like $60, and it's only played in Commander.
Like Yu-Gi-Oh, that'd be so good. Okay, next up we have Red Elemental Blast. 1 mana, instant. Choose 1. Counter target blue spell or destroy target blue permanent. From the very little I know about Magic. Blue they're like the counter spell deck. So you can counter a counter with this. That seems pretty good.
Yeah,
is it a good card?
This card's pretty good. I wondered if you would think that only being able to counter 1 color was going to be good or not. So that's why I put this in. But like, this is still worth it in your red decks. I play this in all of my red decks. It's extremely good.
Oh, I didn't even think that your opponent might not play any blue cards.
Well, I mean, this sees a lot of sideboard play in other formats. I think Legacy is the one where it's legal.
Yeah, and so like a good card in a side deck for sure.
But you can't sideboard in Commander. Like you just have to play it.
Yeah, that's true. You can't sideboard in Commander. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
See, I didn't even think about that in the side deck. I didn't think that far ahead.
I mean, you have 3 opponents, and one of them's probably going to be playing blue. And even if it's a dead card, like it's worth it. It's going to win you more games than it loses, like 100%.
Okay, this is the one I hate. Blue card. That's a legal reason to exist. No, this one is a I hate blue card, and that's a legitimate reason to exist. Is blue like... Oh, you did say blue is one of the better colors. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Swan Song. 1 blue mana, instant. Counter target enchantment, instant, or sorcery spell. Its controller creates a 2/2 bluebird token creature with flying. So this is kind of like Dark Bribe, where you get to counter something for cheap, and your opponent gets some nominal advantage out of it. This seems really good, because like just giving him a token, that's nothing for being able to counter like a big spell.
Oh yeah, this is insane. And also like the token is worthless. It's like in Commander especially, like we don't have like they probably can't do anything with it. It's 2 damage, you have 40 life. And you have board wipes in your deck, most likely, so that you can kill it and they're good cards at the same time. Like, this card's insane.
Yeah, this seems amazing. Okay, next up we have Sway of the Stars. 10 mana. Oh, man. Sorcerer. This is probably going to have a bombastic effect. Each player shuffles his or her hand, graveyard, and permanents he or she owns into his or her library. Then draws 7 cards. Each player's life total becomes 7. This is... costs 10 mana. Man, this would really screw over everyone in Commander. This is probably broken. This is a broken Commander card, right?
This card is banned. It's banned for the reason of, like, just... they banned it because they didn't want people to play it because it, like, invalidates the entire game, basically. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody did or what was happening. It's just everything is reset. The life total becomes 7.
Like Fiber Jar.
Yeah. I'm glad this card is banned because it just seems super annoying and I don't want to play against it.
Yeah, from what I've heard, every game that has a Fiber Jar-like card has that card banned. Because resetting the deck, the game is just unhealthy for the game.
Yeah, there is another card that's similar to this called the Great Aurora, but it does, you draw cards based on the number of permanents in cards you shuffle back with that one. So that one doesn't reset the entire game state because whoever had the most stuff out ends up ahead, basically. And that one isn't banned because it doesn't, like, invalidate what everyone else was doing, because once it resolves, whoever was ahead stays ahead, basically.
Oh. Someone says even the Pokemon one is banned.
They have one in Pokemon? Why?
I don't know. Next up, we have the Gitrog Monster. This costs 4 mana, legendary creature, Death Touch. At the beginning of your
mana.
Oh wait, did I not say 5?
You said 4.
Oh, well, that's completely wrong. Okay, so 5 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice the Gitrog Monster unless you sacrifice a land. What? You may play an additional land on each of your turns? Oh, okay. Whenever one or more of your land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. What does Death Touch mean?
It's poisonous. Any amount of damage destroys a creature.
Gotcha, I know what that means. Okay, so you get to play an additional land each turn. You get to draw a card each time a land goes to the graveyard, and you have to sacrifice a land to keep it on the field. I'm going to say this is probably a good card, because, like, 2 lands is good, drawing cards is good, the upkeep is annoying, but it, like, pays for itself by being able to play more land anyway. This is probably a good card.
This card is actually busted, and it's because it's basically a 1-card combo. So this is another place where the weird rulings things matter. So let's say you have 8 cards at the end of your turn, right? You have to discard down to hand size. You discard a land card. So the game will say, oh, you discarded a land card, that's going to trigger the ability. Draw a card. So you're going to, so it's going to resolve on your turn.
Oh, that's not once per turn. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's not once per turn. So it's going to not once per turn, you're going to draw a card. And then, so you already went through the cleanup step of your end phase, right? And so, but now but since a thing was on the stack and resolved, we're going to, like, okay, wait. We have to recheck the cleanup step to make sure everything's still all right. It's like, oh, you have 8 cards in your hand, discard a card. You discard another land card. You draw a card, right? There's, and you remember Dredge? There's a Dredge card with, there's a land with Dredge. So if you find that, you can just dredge it back and make sure you always draw a land card at the top to be able to draw your whole deck and deck yourself and then win instantly. So this basically is a card that can combo from your command zone with just having 8 cards in your hand.
Yeah, I completely missed the non-once per turn on that.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Wow.
In Magic, it's weird for things to have a once per turn on it. So, you know, we're always like, looking for...
that's normal. So I just always assume they all have once per turns on it. And then you really realize, like, hey, this isn't once per turn. It's like, what? Why? What's wrong with you, Magic? There's not even a cost to it. There's like a condition. Okay, so Utter End. This one costs 4 mana, instant, exile, target non-land permanent. So it banishes 1 card on the field for 4 mana. That doesn't seem very good. It's probably a bad card.
Yeah, this used to be good, but it's just, like, it was never great because 4 mana is so much. But, like, exile removal has gotten better. There's a 2 mana version of this that only exiles things that cost 4 or more. There's a 3 mana version of this that makes you lose 3 life to do it. And so there's like a 2 mana
cut, but more expensive to play.
Yeah, there's a 2 mana one that only gets monocolored permanents, so it's just gotten to the point where it's like there's just no reason to run this, and it was never great to begin with. So like it's just better to play a card that's more efficient and has restrictions to it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because there was that one which destroyed 6 cards, which cost 2 more mana than this, and you said that was bad. So it's like, yeah, this one's probably not as gooder. Okay, so Victimize, 3 mana, sorcery. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard, sacrifice a creature. If you do, return the chosen cards to the battlefield tapped. So you pay 3 mana, tribute 1 to get 2 cards from your graveyard. That seems good. This is a good card.
Yeah, this card's good. It's not amazing. There are just better reanimation spells, so this ends up not seeing play. But if you just don't have like reanimate or animate dead or necromancy, which are just like slightly better versions of this is one of the better reanimation cards. Having to have a creature in play is a restriction that kind of sucks. A lot of the time you want to just be able to reanimate something like and just monster reborn it without sacking anything. You have to target 2 creatures.
Cards.
Yeah, and that's good and that's helpful, but like the downsides of having to have 2 creatures in your graveyard to target and having to have a creature to sacrifice make like the inconsistency balances out the power.
But it's 2 cards. It's so good.
And they come in tapped, so you can't attack with them and you can't block with them either.
Yeah, but you can't attack with them anyway.
But you want to be able to block with them, and you can also give stuff haste a lot of the time to get around it.
Yeah, I guess. I'd love for you to see Worst Fears. Is Worst Fears a commander card?
Yeah.
I'll have to look at it later.
It's a funny one. I think you've seen similar cards by now, but it would be nice.
Okay, well that was the last one anyway. I can look up Worst Fears real quick, and then we'll end it, because I'm sick and I need to rest my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just pull this up real quick. Copy image. Okay, so Worst Fears, 8 mana, sorcery. You control target player during that player's next turn. Exile Worst Fears. See all cards that players could see and make all decisions for that player. You could just play your opponent's turn?
Yep.
Well, this is crazy.
I think this is one of the worst versions of this effect. There's one called Mindslaver. It's a 6 mana artifact, and then you pay 4 and you get this effect, but it doesn't exile itself. So you can just loop it on people.
Wow. So this is probably not a very good card because it costs 8 mana, but that seems...
Yeah,
really
it's okay. Like, it's not quite worth it. Mindslaver is also better because it's colorless and it doesn't exile itself. So, I mean, if you're gonna do that, you might as well just go ahead and start mindslavering people. It's a stronger effect, you know. So,
yeah. Okay. And someone says super chat that says VTuber tier list to win. I could never rate the VTubers. They're all excellent in their own ways. Plus, Rosemary would be at number 1, so that's a no-brainer. Okay, so we're gonna end it here. Thank you, PumkinSwift, and the people who sent in cards. I'm gonna go lie down for a bit.
Yeah.
And everyone, check out PumkinSwift's YouTube channel. Link in the video description. Rose and me win. Yeah. I'm just gonna go rest for a bit. I have a lot of work to do. I can't take a day off. Are you crazy? Okay. That's it for now. Let's end the stream.